So, what is going on? I know some of you are feeling a little bit like things are off right now, and it's more than just geopolitical and what's on the news. Things might not be feeling good, or things might be feeling off with yourself, with relationships, with careers. It all has to do with certain things that are hitting the planet right now that are a little bit more energetic. And I'm going to go into that where it may start to make sense why you're feeling these things. So if you're new here, I am Jose Lindsay, and this is Spiritual Shenanigans. Let's begin. So we're living in a time where a lot of factors are coming into play. There is geopolitical events. There is astronomical events where there's planetary alignments that have to do with specific times and energies that we're feeling. And also we're feeling a lot of extra energy from the sun. The sun has a lot of flares and sending a lot of extra energy on the planet. And what does that have to do with your life and what you're feeling? In a nutshell, how I could best explain it is a lot of light is hitting the planet. I know this is going to sound woo-woo, but just hear me out for 2 seconds and you'll see how this all relates to your life and what's going on in the world. So it doesn't really matter what you believe in. It's actually things that are happening on that outside the planet hitting us, and also this light, this energy, and it's coming in. What happens when a lot of light comes in your life, in the planet, and what it tends to do is expose the things that were in the shadows. So how that might affect you yourself is things that you've been keeping inside that you know that you should probably face one day, but you've just been getting by. And all of a sudden that pretending or that burying deep down inside isn't working. And you're either going to have to, by choice, face the things that you haven't wanted to face, or they will blow up in your face. I just happen to know this because I had this similar situation happen where sort of like light came into my life 15 years ago through a meditation retreat, which is very similar to what people are feeling right now. My family thought that it was like a cult-like situation. They changed my mind, and all of a sudden, my marriage didn't make sense. I got divorced. I wasn't hanging out with my friends anymore, and just started awakening, and it's changed things. Well, now millions of people are going to be awakening and more following their heart and more following who their true self is. And like I've explained in my video, The Void, before, when light hits, it's not always pleasant. It's not you go from your situation now to a better situation. It kind of brings to light, like I said, the shadows and the darkness and the things that aren't true to yourself. And it's either going to be by choice that you can't live with lying or being untrue to yourself, and you're going to choose to not be friends with somebody, not be in a relationship with somebody, quit your job, finally say the things that you've wanted to say, things like that. Or it can do it for you, and the things start to sort of explode and be not good. You lose your job. That friend that you've been sort of patient with, but you know they've not been in alignment with you and things are off, you've kind of like just gone with it knowing that that's probably not the best friendship. They're going to do something that breaks the friendship. If there's an issue with a relative, it'll either all come to a crescendo and you're going to talk about things and make things better, or you decide that spending less and less time with them is in your best interest. For some of you, if it's a job that has not been aligned with what you truly want, and I know I've had a lot of them, where you forced yourself to go in many weeks, many months, many years, and you've always been able to just do the grind and just like get up and go do that job in the morning, a couple things will happen. One, you're going to notice that you're just feeling either sick or you just can't do it anymore, where it just becomes heavy and a major burden, and it's going to feel more heavy, yucky, gross going in. Or some of those jobs you're going to start getting fired, your position will not be required anymore, or things like that. So in these times, it can be an inner knowing to stop something. And if you're not stopping it, external circumstances can also stop that. And it's not pleasant. A lot of these things, it feels like it's more darkness. So you're like, what are you talking about? There's more light. It feels actually horrible. And I'm way worse off than I was before. What kind of light is this? It's actually bringing up the things that you were hiding, shadows, for you to clear it and to live a more aligned life to what really suits you better. So I've talked a lot about this in previous videos, but basically for you to live thus far, mostly you've done like what makes sense and what society wanted you to do and what your family wanted you to do. And you were a good boy, good girl, as they say, or a good person, and you followed all the steps. But now's the time that if you did not follow what you truly wanted, your heart sort of starts to come online. And you can't lie to it anymore. It wants to express itself. It wants you to follow who you really are. It wants you to follow your light, your love, your curiosity, your passions. Now, does it mean that some of you can just like quit your jobs today without knowing what you're going to do next? Not necessarily. Sometimes what can happen is that you continue to work, but meanwhile, start following your passions on the side more and more, and you might find more opportunities that way. So that's on the personal level. When light comes in, these are the things that can happen. I go in detail, like I said, about what happened in my life when I hit that void when nothing makes sense anymore. Actually, it's not just in your life that makes sense, but when you're awakening, you're going to start asking yourself, just in a job in general, is this a job that I want to do? But more so than that, depending on the awakening, you're like, why are we even working? Why am I working 40 hours a week? What is this 9 to 5 grind? Who am I working for and for what? And for how many years? You know, you work until you're 65 so that at 65 that maybe that you can retire. So all this constructs start to not make sense. So depending on your level, like I said, it could just be a job change, or it could be fundamentally changing work for you and how you work, how much time you choose to do work. I know when I awakened, I went away on a month-long teacher training in New Mexico, and I sort of awakened within that 1 month, and it was very quick. And all of the systems didn't make sense anymore. So that work system, and then you realize the schooling system, who it was invented by. And the schooling system is less about education, but making sure that the top 1% has workers. You're not taught to think critically. So when you start looking at education systems, you're seeing that a lot of the education system is focused on making sure that you're used to a schedule of, 8 to 4, Monday to Friday, ask permission for breaks, you're given certain amount of vacation, and basically there's a large control aspect to education to prep for workers. And then you start looking into politics. Well, right now, I don't, I am Canadian, okay? So I have nothing to do with the American politics. I don't pick sides. I know it's rough to see what's going on in the US and a particular president that is unhinged and doing crazy things. But the only benefit that you can see of a leader like that as this time, as more light and more truth is hitting the planet, is he sort of represents a caricature of politics. a caricature, a drawing is always a exaggerated feature. So if you have a slightly bigger nose, your caricature of your cartoon is a huge nose, big head, or whatever it is. And what I mean by that is he is exposing politics in a almost clown-like way, exaggerated, of things that have always been there. But usually leaders hide things. Things happen behind the scenes. It doesn't matter what the political party is. It's always been like that. It's never always for the true benefit of a population. There's always been some shady stuff in all politics. But because you have a leader that's so unhinged, you're starting to see who's controlling the politics, which it doesn't matter what party, they were always there. Like I said, it was just hidden a lot better. And now with this particular leader, it's very exaggerated. And when this light also hits the planet, it is the time where you're going to find a lot of disclosure. So these things being exposed, just like your leader is starting to be exposed, that list that everybody talks about is going to be released. But now people are seeing just how much effort is going into hiding that list. That list has been hidden for many, many, many years. You just didn't see it because other political parties and other leaders hid it better, right? It's always been there. There's always been a cover-up. But now the darkness or the things that aren't working or that aren't for your own good, you can see now. It's all being out in the open, and you're going to have disclosures coming up in the next few months or in the next couple of years about your government, the truth about your government. Whenever that list is out, it's not 5 to 10 names on there. It's a lot of political parties. It's a lot of people in the entertainment industry. It's a lot of people in the corporations, banks. A lot of things were involved, and it's because it'll shatter people's opinions of what they thought was good people, what they thought were institutions and businesses and corporations that were perhaps helping, or their governments were protecting them. So all of that will be disclosed. There's now disclosure on things like UFOs, and I won't get into that so you don't think I'm like super crazy, but that's nothing new. And there's been activity on the planet for thousands of years. So that'll be disclosed at some point. There's some disclosures coming out for pharmaceutical companies. Healthcare isn't what you think as well, and that'll come out as well. All of that to say it's not conspiracy theories or anything like that. It's just that in your life, and when you look at your life, you're like, why am I feeling like this? Everything just feels off. My relationships feel off, or my career feels off. Everywhere that I look, like, what is happening? Is it just me, or is stuff just seems to be just coming out more and more? It's not just you. This is what's happening. Everything is being exposed to the light so that you can see. And it's a big fat mess when it sort of comes up, because sort of like sediment or something that was at the bottom of a sea, and then it comes up and it's sort of like scum at the top of the water, and you're like, this is gross, this is ruining everything. But once that scum comes up, it's so that it can be exposed and it can go away, and then you can build something better. In your personal life, what does that mean? You'll be able to think, okay, I've been lying enough to myself about that relationship. Maybe that's not a relationship for me, and you build something better. That career is just, I used to love doing this, and it's just not fulfilling me anymore. And it makes you think about doing something else or going back to school or whatever it is. So in relationships, in your career, you're going to see possibly also the finance system. There could be some cracks, or there could be a bottoming out of systems that weren't built on the right thing. Again, these are going to seem very shocking at first, but when you truly see what's going on, things fall apart when they're so corrupt and so off. so that they can be rebuilt on the proper values. They can be rebuilt on things that serve the people so that they can be rebuilt a proper way. So it is not just you. That's what's going on. It's going on in the collective. So people are feeling off and uneasy, and it's hitting a lot of people at the same time, and that's what you're witnessing. And it's also, you're noticing a lot of people that are fed up and they're like, enough's enough. They're getting together and they're rallying and going against systems that they know isn't right, or governments, or whatever's happening. So that's also, the activism is rising. And my personal opinion is that it's messy. It's going to get a lot messier, but I think it's going to be for our good. What do I do to be able to handle these times? I meditate. I go within. I am constantly trying to be love and light wherever I go. Like I've said in other videos, actually, I think it was my last video. When you see a storm, our goal is to be a lighthouse in the storm. So I decide to be a lighthouse for myself in my own life. I try to be the calm, the joy, find grace, try to find forgiveness in others, try not to be angry. And now's the time to embody light. Now's the time to embody love. Now's the time to be kind to other people. And when all this stuff is going crazy and off, just really look at why it's like that, and look, it's systems, and you've been lied to. It's not going to serve anything to be mad at other people, or mad at the other side, or mad at the other political party. They are not the devil. They're not evil. They've also been tricked, okay? People on both sides have been lied to, and for the people to keep their power, and they know they've been lying to you, they need to turn you against each other, and that's what's going on. So once you awaken and you see the games and you see the puppeteers and the strings, you start realizing, oh man, I've been played. That's not cool. All the other people have been played as well. It's not them, it's all us. We have to come together and find our oneness and work on these systems and build them better for all of us. So that's my personal opinion. That's why I think that people are finding that everything is off. I think that we're going to build something way better. I also want to say, just at this time, that it's okay to not be okay. Let's face it. Times are difficult. So even though I'm saying I'm trying to be the light and I meditate, I've had an awakening and seen what's going on for 15 years now. So the shock is over. I sort of see what's going on, and I've had a lot of time to prepare. When I was in the void, when I was finding out the systems that were crumbling and my eyes were opening, I wasn't calm like I am right now. So once you start discovering things and your relationships are just falling apart, make no mistake, it's a big mess. It does not feel good. It's okay to not be okay. Be easy about it. Give yourself a break and be freaking proud of yourself that you are actually looking at it. You're like, wait a second, maybe everything I've done my whole life is not exactly my true self. Do you know how much courage it takes to do that? To really look at your life, to really look at your relationships, your career, and how you move in the world? You have to give yourself kudos even if you're in the mess. Be super proud of yourself, of what you're doing. You're reassessing. And eventually, in the muck and the mud, you will find your path. It's going to be more aligned, and even as you're coming out of it and on the other side, things are going to be so much better. I believe in you. You're going to find your path. Just keep looking within. You're never going to find the answers outside of yourself. You're never going to find a guru, an expert. I certainly don't have the answers. The only thing that you're going to find that's helpful is listening to yourself, following your own inner guidance, following your own intuition and your heart. and you're gonna be okay because all of us are doing that. All of us are going to be more heart-centered, and it's gonna create a world that's much better. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Jose Lindsay. Much love.